Hello viewers, my name is Kizito Osimnobi Ibe, welcoming you to another interesting edition of Point Blank. To every Nigerian, the expectation is so high what 2019 general election, presidential election will bring, who takes the mantle of leadership after that election. Many Nigerians have expressed their dissatisfaction with the incumbent president, Alhaji Muhammad Buhari, though some people still see him as the messiah to themselves. I don't know what their thinking may be. In order to host the incumbent president, many support groups have emerged in support of the PDP presidential flag bearer, Alhaji Atiku Abubakar, the Waziri of Adamawa. One of the support groups is Atiku Support Group USA, a group duly satisfied and accredited by the Atiku campaign organizations. Here with me in the studio is the coordinator of Atiku Support Group USA, who is in the studio to tell us what this support group is all about and their strategy they are going to adopt to make sure that Atiku wins next year's general election. Please help me welcome to the studio Mr. Don Njoko. Mr. Njoko.
Thank you, Mr. Kizito.
Thanks for having you today.
Thank you for having me. It's my pleasure.
You are the coordinator of Atiku Support Group. How did this support group come to be?
Well, thank you very much, and I appreciate being here. Your studio has opened a new channel in telecast and broadcast, especially for diasporans.
Thank you so much.
In general, and Houstonians in particular. Thank you once again. Atiku Support Group, I can say, is a child of circumstance. Circumstance in the sense that in 2013, 2014, leading to the election of 2015, there was so much noise making and prophecies as having
a change of government,
much needed messiah.
Yes.
And today, people can now be able to, after assessing the past 3 years,
performance,
the performance comparisons, and be able to know that indeed the Messiah is yet to come. And if our president, Alhaji Muhammadu Buhari, was not given the chance, was not elected in 2011, people would have continued to carry it that here is the best president Nigeria never had.
Yes.
So sometimes it's like going a draft.
Yes.
If you know the game of draft, sometimes when you play and you are by the side, you see more than those who play.
Who play the game.
Now Buhari can tell better.
Yes.
Thank you.
Okay.
So based on that, Mr. Kizito, we sat down and started saying, can Nigerians go another 4 years like this? What we have to do is to look for somebody who has been there. We cannot continue to experiment. We don't want somebody who wants to learn on the job.
Yes. And
we have to say this, to be very honest with you. Buhari has done the best he can, but that is his best.
But his best is not
good enough. And Atiku is not a saint.
Yeah.
But with the way Nigeria is going now, we need somebody who has already known the experience, has the knowledge to go. Maybe after Atiku, we cannot be able to start looking at those things Nigerians are talking about. But for now, we need somebody who knows, who has a driver license, not somebody who has a driving permit.
Okay, which means the support group was already formed before the PDP's primary in support of...
Yes, actually, we came together way back in May. And by June 18, we got our inauguration. By June 18, 2018, we got the inauguration and started our movement. I was in Port Harcourt for the presidential primary. And while a lot of my colleagues here in the States, I was telling them, and after the primary, it was like our dream came true, and we started getting closer to the realization of that our dream. And among all the people now, politics is like a lottery. You have to play to win.
Yes.
And also, somehow, it is like a beauty pageant. the best is chosen among those who are present,
yes,
who contested.
Yes.
And politics in Nigeria, you can't play without being part of a political party. And if you are in a political party and your party is not popular, no matter how good you are, you won't be recognized.
Yes,
so Atiku is in the best party, which is PDP.
Okay, that reminds me, because before the presidential primaries, PDP presidential primaries, there was this rumor that Alhaji Tambawa would be eventually emerge as the PDP candidate. But the turn of events now chose Atiku. What really happened? What game played over there?
The game they played was simply that the best candidate emerged. If you look at the aftermath of the primary, how even Dr. Bukola Saraki, the current Senate President, how Alhaji Tambawa, the governor of Sokoto, how Dr.
Rabiu
Kwankwaso and Rabiu Kwankwaso, how they congratulated the Waziri Adamawa, shows you that, yes, they accepted that he was better than them.
Yeah.
And that's the beauty of democracy.
Even the Rivers State Governor, Wike, who was also a staunch supporter of Tambawa, also had a press conference. His Excellency Wike, the governor of Rivers State, supported every candidate. And because he loved the party so much, that's why he accepted for it to be hosted in Rivers State, Port Harcourt, the capital, and he supported everybody. Those are the insinuations of people around, and he is happy that Waziri Adamawa, His Excellency Atiku Abubakar, won the primary. Okay, this Atiku support group, you said earlier on that you had the inauguration. Is it only here in USA or is it all over the world?
There are so many Atiku support groups with different names, just like you said, but our own is Atiku support group in America. There are other Atiku support groups other places, and they have their names. But here in United States, we are not the only support group of Atiku in United States. There are many, because people are desirous of change back home in Nigeria. And we are Atiku support group USA. That's our name.
How far is your membership, or how the movement so far in the USA?
It is growing. When we had our town hall meeting in Bowie, combination of Baltimore and Bowie, it was so cold, it was like -6. But you will be shocked the turnout of events. So people are every day, the number of people queuing in are increasing and getting higher.
What is the relationship of Atiku Support Group USA and the Atiku Campaign Organization?
Thank you very much. Atiku Campaign Organization is like the organization saddled with the Atiku campaign. And this cannot hold without the support group. There are individuals supporting, there is the party, then the support groups. And these support groups, they're not entirely members of the PDP. That's why I keep telling anybody, you don't have to be part of Atiku support group because you're PDP. You are part of Atiku support group because you are desirous of a change back home.
So which means support groups embodies all Nigerians,
all tribes, all parties. All tribes, all parties.
So the relationship between the support group and the campaign
is like a father-son.
Father-son.
The Atiku support group is like a son. The Atiku Campaign Organization is like the father. It is the driving force behind Atiku succession.
But could they take directive from the campaign organization?
Yes, yes. Whatever we do, the campaign organization is aware. That's why we were accredited. Every support group for Atiku presidency has to be registered with the Atiku's campaign organization in Abuja. And Atiku support group was so registered.
So which means, because we have over 200 support groups, all these 200 support groups are registered, or some people are operating illegally?
I don't know if all of them, but if you look at the list of the accredited supporters of Atiku presidential campaign, Atiku Support Group USA is number 17.
Okay.
Yes. So I don't know those who are not registered, but I know that Atiku Support Group was registered because I was part of the process of the registration.
Okay. One thing that I want to ask is, since we have a general machinery what actually is the role of all these support groups, since we have a centralized campaign organization or machinery?
Yes, the role is very enormous, as well as it looks simple. There are a lot of people that have given up election or politics in Nigeria.
Yes.
But the role of an organization like Atiku Support Group is to let these people know that we can't give up, not now, not this time.
Yes.
We must have to continue, because if Nigeria is not good, we are the direct victims of it. You cannot tell your brother who is in Nigeria, who has been out of school for 6 months, you're not going to send him money. If he doesn't get money from you, he might go and steal. And if he steals, the outcome of it falls back on you. So the Atiku Support Group, our job is to sensitize the people, especially those in diaspora, particularly in America. Don't give up. Don't say you don't want to participate no more. Please come and participate. And among these people, Atiku is the best. Among them, come and participate. And that's what we've been doing. Even in Houston, Texas, here where we are getting a lot of number of people calling in and saying they want to be part of us.
But most of us Nigerians here live outside the shore of Nigeria. We don't have the PVC. So what impact are we going to make? Since even if we travel back home, we're not going to cast our vote because we are not duly registered as voters because we live outside. So what efforts are we going to make? How do we impact?
You're going to impact is simple. When you tell your cousin, your brother, or any of your siblings or your relation back home, say, hey, I'm not in Nigeria. Those of you are there. You have to be part of what is going on. Go out there, get your PVC, put your vote for Atiku. It's simple. I mean, in the next 1 year, we'll have less dependence of our brothers back home, of our mothers back home, on us.
Yes.
So the impact is there. What we're going to do is simple. You don't have to be in Nigeria to participate. You don't have to be in Nigeria to vote. Just call your people, call your friends in Nigeria. Oh boy, all these suffering war that they get, we don't hear them. This is the opportunity for you to make a difference. You can't continue to live how you have been living the last 3-4 years. This time, let us try something. And that's the beauty of democracy. If somebody tries 4 years, doesn't just choose somebody else.
Okay. But some of these support groups have been accused that they are just doing this to get recognized or get something from the campaign organization, or maybe when the election is done and they have opportunities like an appointment, they forget those who were their members, who work for them, whom they use. It's like they are using people to get recognized in Abuja. How true is that?
Well, I don't think it is entirely true. However, people still have to form groups to support someone.
Yeah, I know.
It is as old as politics itself. Because just like our president, His Excellency Muhammadu Buhari, he has people who are also campaigning for him. He cannot do it all by himself.
Yeah.
The party cannot do it all alone. Atiku campaign organization cannot do it all alone. They need the support. Everything is individualistic. There are people who do that. But there are also people who have genuine interest.
And sincere money.
Yes, who have genuine interest that it is important and very good as well that we have a change that Nigerians are desiring, a change that can impact positively on the lives of Nigerians.
Okay, Mr. Don, one thing in Atiku's campaign promises is restructuring. And I think so, some of us, that really gave him an edge over other candidates during the presidential primaries. Now, how do you think that if he wins the election come 2019, what effort is he going to make to carry out that restructuring? Nigerians have been clamoring for total restructuring. So how do he begin?
Well, you see, we can always talk about those which as human beings we are capable of doing.
Yeah.
But you know, the restructuring didn't just start today. APC has restructuring in their manifesto. But unfortunately, there are people who don't want that restructuring to go. The good thing about Atiku presidency and the Atiku campaign is that Atiku himself is an apostle of restructuring. If people who are the helm of affairs of APC are the apostle of the structure, it would have happened. But the president is one of those who hates the structure. So you can see the difference. Atiku is an apostle of the structure. Atiku will do it. Nigerians will go back to what we used to be, where regions, where states can compete favorably among each other, while also we remain indivisible, one Nigeria.
Okay.
Yes.
So I think we're going to leave that topic for another day because it is going to be very broad. But another thing Atiku has said in his campaign promises is a government of inclusiveness, especially the youths and women. I remember very well that in one of the promises he said that he will give 40% of the seats to youth and the women. But when we look at the structure of his campaign organization, I begin to doubt, because how many of the youths are in the campaign organization? How realistic is that?
Very realistic. If you go to Atiku campaign organization in Abuja, you cannot see anybody more than 50 years in all the departments. But you have to also understand that the campaign organization has to be structured in a way it will also accommodate the women folk and the young.
Yes.
And it is a work in progress. And we are gradually, and look at me. 20 years ago, you can't see somebody my age being at the forefront of an organization like this, supporting the presidency in Nigeria, a presidential candidate. But today it has come to our level. And the awareness keeps growing because it is now incumbent on us as Nigerians to make sure that during this our age of time, yes, we make things change.
Positive changes.
Very positive changes.
Okay. Did you have an ambition of running for government?
Personally, no. Even if I do, my wife will not let me.
Okay. So, but how do we see the general election? Because the APC seems to be headbent, making sure that they win the election. How do you see the game next year?
APC is not doing what they are not supposed to do, except that the manner they are doing it. You see, every party, every government wants to return, but unfortunately, APC is doing it as if do or die. But there's nothing wrong in them trying to make sure they consolidate on their power. But the truth and the fun is that Nigerians are tired of APC. That's why you see them breaking in fragments. Nigerians are tired of APC, and Nigerians will resist any kind of rigging, any kind of intimidation by APC. Because now Nigerians have realized that at the end of the day, their life is what matters to them.
Yeah,
because you cannot put in some, it is the same market all of us go to. Now ASU is on strike. It affects everybody. It doesn't matter if you are APC, PDP, Hausa, Yoruba, Igbo. It doesn't matter.
Yes.
So Nigerians are tired. Nigerians are sick and tired of the propaganda and lies.
So you are very confident that PDP will win the general election this year?
I am very confident that Atiku Abubakar will win the presidency.
Is he going to from the presidency to the lowest level of government?
Well, I don't want to say something that will look like very political.
Okay.
I want to be realistic. Every state, every senatorial zone, every federal constituency, and indeed every state constituency can vote who they like, the party they like.
Yes.
But in presidency, Atiku Abubakar will be the president of Nigeria. He will win.
I like your confidence.
Yes, he will.
I hope he wins,
He will.
so that we see changes. But okay, let me ask these questions. There is this rumor that he cannot visit the United States of America because of some unclear business transactions. If that is to be true, how credibility is he running for the presidency of the Federal Republic of Nigeria?
You see, it's a very, very complicated. When you listen to APC, that's what they say. But when you also listen to like PDP, they say a different thing. But whether Atiku has to visit America or visit China or visit Russia does not matter to what Nigerians want.
Okay.
As a matter of fact, Nigerians want somebody who cannot even visit London. They want a president that
who
will be
is
there
there in Nigeria
and be able to
oversee
feel the
activities.
sufferings of Nigerians. We have a president who has stayed abroad more than he has stayed in Nigeria.
Yes.
Of what good has he done to us? So whether Atiku can go to America or go to anywhere is irrelevant.
So you mean maybe that could be a machinery put in place by the opposition?
It's a propaganda. And unfortunately now, we have now known APC as a government of propaganda. So it's irrelevant. Let them talk about the issues. Let them talk about if Atiku is capable and competent enough to be president of Nigeria. Having been the vice president for 8 years, he is the most suited among all of them. And if we want to talk about the economic impact of Atiku's vice presidency in his capacity as the chairman of the Economic Council, everything is there. But they will not talk about that. They will refuse to tell you that whatever the president is operating on today, whatever this government is operating on today, was the creation of Atiku Abubakar's vice presidency.
Okay, recently Atiku Abubakar increased the salary of his workers to 35,000, even surpassing what the Nigerian Labour Congress is fighting for Nigerian government to pay. And people said he did that because of election. Why didn't you do it before now? How true do you think is because of election?
There is always time to do things. When Atiku Abubakar built American University, he didn't do it because he was contesting for presidency. When Atiku Abubakar was helping different people, including the young girl Chimamanda, who went for surgery, he didn't do it. He wasn't contesting for presidency. Atiku Abubakar has always been known. If you cite some of the things Buhari said about Atiku Abubakar, what he had used the money to do, he didn't say them today. So when politics comes like this, even when you want to contest anything now, people will say that you are holding this interview because you want to contest something. So those are not issues. Let us talk about the competency of Atiku being the president. How prepared is Atiku being the president? How Nigerians are going to benefit because positive things are going to come to Nigeria. We are not going to, excuse me, Mr. Kizito. We are not going to continue to rely on somebody who told you dollar will be 1 naira, who told you fuel will be 45 naira, without even knowing the intricacies of all these things.
Yes. So, okay, let's look at the APC government. Is it the center that is weak or those surrounding the center? If the presidency, Alhaji Muhammad Buhari, is it that he doesn't know the actual policy to put in place so that Nigeria can work, or those around him, surrounding him, are the problem we are having that things are not working?
Kizito, it is a natural thing that you can't give what you don't have. You can't, after being the president of Nigeria in 1985, you went back to your village. You didn't do anything, no workshop, nothing to improve. Tried to be president of Nigeria for 3 times. The 4th one you got it. It took you 6 months to name your cabinet. And in your hand, everything collapsed. You can't give what you don't have. If you don't know economics, get people who are experts. During Obasanjo's regime, Obasanjo employed the best economic team. And it was advice of Atiku. Atiku oversaw these activities of this economic team in his capacity as the chairman of Economic Council.
Yes.
So you can't give what you don't have. If we're now in computer age, in social media age, if somebody like Buhari, who has not gotten any smartphone, how can he appreciate social media? He cannot.
So he will continue to call us lazy youth.
He continues to call Germany, Western Germany, he continues to call Adamawa Ayobe, Gongola. Because those were the last time, because he doesn't know that Gongola has been divided into Yobe and Adamawa. He doesn't know that the unity of Germany has not taken place when Gorbachev was the secretary in Russian USSR premier, and Reagan was president of the United States. He's still calling Western Germany and Eastern Germany. So you can't give what you don't have. But, we're not going to get into that. Yes. What we're trying to say is, what the qualities of Atiku and Atiku's competence in driving Nigeria.
Yes, you mentioned Obasanjo. You know, initially Obasanjo said that God will not forgive him if he supports or endorses Atiku. But recently he changed his mind and endorsed him and said that Nigerians should vote for him. What do you think happened there?
The only permanent thing in life is change. You see, people can say different things out of anger. And for some reason, Obasanjo has realized his mistake and said, hey, this is the ban. Let us not forget what happened to Obasanjo's re-election in 2003, that Atiku played the most important role. So, but in life, friends can be enemies today, and what matters in politics is interest. Maybe Obasanjo had an interest he wanted to protect in 2015. Now, whether he got that interest or not is subject of another day.
Yes.
Today, maybe Obasanjo has another interest in Atiku. So let's
so like you said, in politics there is no permanent enemy,
no permanent friend, just
permanent interest. So what?
But if you see and if you hear what Obasanjo said about Atiku in Adamawa, the week he was banned, the Waziri of Adamawa, you can see Obasanjo talking from his heart, from the depth of his heart. That is when you know when somebody is telling the truth. You can see him. And for Obasanjo to honor that invitation, to be there visibly, that shows you that even him is becoming repentant.
Okay, Atiku Obi ticket has been applauded so much by every Nigerian. Do you think it is the personality of Obi that attracts such acceptability?
Well, you see, you can't remove yourself from your activities. Obi's record is there. There's nothing APC will say against Obi.
Yes.
Other than El-Rufai saying Obi is a bigot. Nobody has criticized Obi because Obi was governor for 8 years and left the best record any governor has left.
Okay, Mr. Don, I think we're going to go on break. We're going to come back on this Atiku Obi ticket, as we are saying, then we'll continue from there. Hello, viewers. We are going on break, and when we come back, we'll continue Atiku Obi ticket. Why is this so applauded? Don't forget, I have the coordinator, Atiku Support Group USA, Mr. Don Njoku, in the studio. We'll be right back. Don't go away.
Thank you.
Discover the uniqueness in the entertainment industry. African Broadcasting Network, ABN, is now the pace setter in the industry. Do you want to advertise your product and services? Count on us. We will do it much more than your expectations. African Broadcasting Network, ABN, will deliver quick and prompt services. Our quality and clarity stands us out when it comes to delivering quality broadcasting. Our staffs are hardworking and versatile in the specific field of office. Our environment is so conducive and we are open to all. We also give advice on how to run your business profitably. African Broadcasting Network is situated at
9894 Isone Street, Suite 875, Houston, Texas 77036.
Contact phone 281-652-8396 and
832-490-8203.
Website www.abntvnetwork.com. ABN, celebrating Africans' rich cultural heritage.
Hello viewers, welcome back to Point Blank. My name is Kizito Osimnobi Ibe. I have also in the studio the coordinator, Atiku Support Group USA, Mr. Don Njoku. Before we went on break, he was talking about Atiku Obi ticket, whether it is the personality of Obi that is giving them such acceptability. Mr. Njoku, before we went on break, you were talking something about Obi and Atiku. Yes, Obi had a track record in Anambra State, and he's saying it anywhere that the only house he has is in Onitsha. Any other place you see this is Obi's house, burn it down. So, like I asked before, do you think because of that his record is making the ticket very, very easy to say through 2019?
I mean, the thing is that if we have decided to do the right thing, we have to start initially to do it. And we also have to make sure people know that we mean to do the right thing. And that's what Atiku, that's one thing people have looked at Atiku campaign and said, I think this man meant well. He searched thoroughly and said, let me pick this man. There is no way anybody has said anything against Obi. Because, I mean, you can't manufacture your own record in place of already established record.
Yes.
Obi's performance in Anambra has become a test case to even a lot of governors.
Yes.
Even till tomorrow, it's still a campaign issue in Anambra State.
He set a standard.
He set the standard. And he says it anywhere. I left so good amount of money, both in Nigerian currency and in dollars.
Yes.
And this is what the institutions that I built, and this is how I did things. It's there for anybody to see. So I think we knew that the best he could do is to go and draw from this man, and with that, the clout of the southern Nigeria, not just Igbo, the clout of the southern Nigeria are following him.
But when Obi was selected, some people were like, Atiku did not have consultation with them, and the southeastern governors, some of them, like the governor of Ebonyi State, why that issue?
Oh, well, the thing is that, I mean, it's natural that all politicians, they want to be given their due respect and regard. And when His Excellency Dr. Dave Umahi, was also explained the circumstances, I mean, he saw it and calmed down. Because one thing about picking up a vice or deputy, as the case may be, it is not something that you will subject yourself to different kinds of consultations.
Yeah.
It's what you will sit down, put it in the trust.
Is it the person I'm going to work
with, and you make up your mind.
Yes.
Because we don't have deputies of vice on ballot boxes. So, when His Excellency, realized that, and not only him, even the deputy Senate President, but they've all now come back that at this point in Nigerian political life, what matters is no longer my interest, but our interest, the interest of Nigerians.
Okay.
It is very, very important.
Okay, Mr. Don, let's go a little bit to Imo State. I know you're from Imo State.
Yes, I am.
And the stake is high over there. The APC has Hope Uzodinma. PDP has Honorable Emeka Ihediora. Then other political parties also fielded a candidate. And the incumbent governor, Owele Rochas Okorocha, is still fighting tooth and nail to make sure that his son-in-law, Ubumba Uche Mosu, also clinches the win. So, what are we expecting in Imo State?
Imo State is not different from Nigeria. The same way Nigerians are clamoring for change is the same way Imolites are clamoring for change. The truth of the matter is that if you go to Nigeria today, the best governor is not of APC extraction. The best governor in Nigeria today is not from APC. So if you draw it closer, as it concerns me, there is nothing APC in Imo State that Imolites will look at and say, let us vote.
APC, yeah.
So, as much as I wish that Imolites decide who they are going to vote for, I am sure they're not going to vote APC.
Okay, yes, like you said, one thing seems like disadvantage to APC is the Hope Uzodinma is from Orlo senatorial zone. Orlo has been there for 16 years. And do you think Imolites will allow Orlo to rule for the next 8 years? That seems to be disadvantage for APC. Then, Ihediora is from Owerri senatorial zone. Apart from Evans and Monem, Owerri senatorial zone has not produced an executive governor in Imo State. Do you think it's an advantage to PDP?
Another thing is, like I said, I don't want people to look at my comment or response purely political.
Yeah.
Because the dire state we find Imo State, we don't want our thinking be based on politics. Let it be based on what will benefit the Imolites.
Yes.
Emeka Ihedioha, as far as I'm concerned, is the best person to come to govern Imo.
What do you think?
Not necessarily because he's from
Owerri
Owerri
zone.
zone. I don't want to base my
On political
yes.
talk, yeah.
I want to base on
The realities on the ground.
You see, Emeka, when you get close to him, unfortunately, people do not understand him. But when you go to close to him, and you know right inside you, you want the best for Imo State. Among the areas of candidates, Emeka stands out. If you want me to cast my vote, I'll vote for him.
Oh, okay. You know, politics is like a draft, like you said. Those who stay outside see more games. Do you think that the PDP is doing everything they should do to make sure that Emeka Ihedioha wins the election?
If I say they are doing everything, I might be wrong. If I say they are not doing enough, I might also be wrong. It is like playing a penalty. While the person playing the ball thinks that the goalkeeper has covered everywhere, the goalkeeper feels that he has not covered anything.
Yes.
So, but the thing is to have a strategic way of approaching this election. But the one thing that we have sounded to everybody is that now Nigerians are not going to allow rigging, especially with what happened in Edo State, Ekiti State, Osun State, and just recently in Kwara State.
Yes.
People don't want to be intimidated into submitting to what's not your wish or aspiration. People want this election to hold as people freely express. And in Imo State, PDP is doing everything possible to let people know that, no, if we continue to put these people who make experiments with your life, who do everything just for their family, who feel that it is only their family that the good things should come to,
Yes.
and you want to follow them, you can now start asking yourself, what will happen to your own children if you make this mistake?
Yes.
This is another time for us to change and correct the mistake we have made. Because after this time, we don't think we'll have another opportunity to do that.
Okay, Mr. Do, I know I don't want you to speak for APC or the candidate Hope Uzodinma, but Hope Uzodinma used to be a staunch member of PDP, a well-respected member of PDP. Why does sudden change to come to APC to contest for governorship? Or he saw the stake is high for him in PDP to go for the primary? Why?
Just like I said earlier, interest. Hope Uzodinma is an astute politician, very smart one,
Yes.
a very good one. There are people who are professionals in politics. There are also professional politicians. Hope Uzodinma is a professional politician. And he sees very far.
Ahead.
He sees things ahead. And he's moving from or
PDP.
defecting from PDP to APC. He knows the reason. But today, it has worked. But Hope Uzodinma, as a person, might be a good governor. But because of the record of APC, and now the issue of zoning and being from
should be set aside. Let us look at the candidates. Yeah.
And Arurume also can be good. But the reason I don't want to get into those is I am concentrating on Atiku Abubakar.
Yeah. Like I said before, you are not speaking for them,
Yes.
but I just want to ask this question.
So, because I am campaigning for Atiku, I want it also to trickle down to my state.
Yes.
Because if Atiku is the president, I want my governor to be PDP governor. so he can have access to the president.
Okay, but there are, even though the primaries for governorship in Imo State, but some people are still having grudges, like they are not supporting Emeka Ihedioha, who are still members of PDP. Do you think that such movement will work well for PDP in Imo State?
There is no time factions in a particular party works well for the party. The thing is that is to deploy reconciliatory machinery, like Senator Atan Achono is the chairman of the Reconciliation Committee.
Yes.
They have started work.
So what progress have they made so far?
They are trying to reach, in situations like this, because of the caliber of people involved, it's not something you go one day and achieve it one day. But I mean, it's a process. The faction being created by the emergence of the NPDP is not good. If you look at what happened to ABGA, they started with NABGA, and today they have moved into something else, AAPG and stuff like that. So it's not something that I want for PDP, but it's for the leaders to take caution and know that no matter the fragment, even if it is 10%, it is not good for a party, especially an opposition party. So they must do everything to come together if they mean well to take the Douglas House.
But why is it that Nigeria, our politicians in Nigeria, find it difficult to accept defeat? Must it end in law court, or must it end in a reconciliatory committee?
Like
here in America, I have not had anyone going to court because of irregularities of even the last presidential election here in America. There were rumors of Russia's involvement and everything, but still, it's only what we hear on the press and the television that this is what happened. But in Nigeria, later then you see them going to court, spending the money that we're supposed to use to do for campaign, or even better, the last of month. Why is it?
I cannot speak for them because I've not been in such situation. But well, let us borrow a leaf from the PDP presidential primary. That will tell you that these things can happen. It depends on individuals.
Yes.
In the PDP presidential primary, from Thursday, the whole of Port Harcourt, the Garden City, was heated up. But immediately after that, people went home peacefully. The aspirants, some of them deputy senate presidents, some of them governors, some of them, but everybody calmed down, everybody stood to support the winner. I hope that it would have been the same thing across the board, including governorship and senatorial. Yes. But different states, different things played out. Even in the APC in Zamfara, there was no election from governorship to House of Assembly. So it depends on individuals, but I hope that with time, Nigerians will come to realize that 4 years to them looks like a lifetime, but indeed it's not.
It's not. Okay, let us be a little bit positive about Imo State. Like you say, you're supporting Atiku and you want it to trickle down to your state, that Honorable Emeka Ihedioha emerges as the governor next year. Where do you think he will begin to amend? Imo State is already shattered. Where do you think he will begin to start rebuilding Imo State?
And that's why Emeka Ihedioha will be in Maryland on Sunday. And he will be in Houston on Monday. And that is why he is going around letting people know his blueprint. He is not unaware that his first 4 years will be a very hard and Herculean task.
Yes.
In view of the mess already Imo State found. Imo State is owing over 200 billion. And I believe that he has to do the first things first. For me, if I have the opportunity to advise him, I will ask him to take it one at a time.
Yes.
Get one done, then before you move to another one, so that the Imolites will know that you have a plan.
We have done this, and
yes,
it's working.
It's working.
Yeah, that's the problem we have in Nigeria, even the federal, because we like to put our 10 fingers at the same time inside our mouth, and the things are not working. So if we want to take it one sector at a time and work it, refine it to the peak, and people see it working, I think, yes, with time, even if in 4 years you do one sector and it's working fine, if it is the road. if it is the health sector, if it is the education, you make sure that that sector works very fine. I think people will appreciate
like
that.
His Excellency, Dr. Peter Obi did in Anambra.
Yes.
He did what we call road construction revolution. And like Atiku Abubakar did from 1999 to 2007, they came on board. Let's not forget that by the time they came, there was no EFCC, no ICPC, no AIT, no Channels Television, no GSM, no nothing. People forget so easily. No railway. The railway we see today was as a result of the thinking of those wonderful economic team they put in there. So if His Excellency Chief Emeka Ihedioha, CON, he has done a lot, people have seen. If he comes in and as a consummate administrator, I know that he wouldn't want to do this razzmatazz, bracket, do this, what, do this.
The
Yes, I know Emeka is a very calculated somebody. He wants to start from the ones he can do, so that people will know that this one has been done and has been done differently, and he will move into another one.
Okay, let's go back to the Waziri of Adamawa. What really happened between him and his political boy, El-Rufai? I know he brought El-Rufai in during from 1993 to 2007. He made him the EPA, the privatization, something from there, Minister of Federal Capital. But now El-Rufai is in APC and is in PDP. What really transpired between them?
There are some people in politics that are opportunists. And these people, you see the antecedents. Number one person they castigate
is the person who made them.
Yes, it's like that. But in this political time in Nigeria, El-Rufai is not important. El-Rufai shouldn't be considered. The most important focus is Nigerians.
Yes.
Atiku is not looking at those who are going to be there to presink about him. Atiku's focus is what
those who are going to work with
him and those who are going to achieve results for him. So, and don't forget, I don't fault people like El-Rufai because it's about interest. You have to know what his interest is.
Yes.
And over time, his interest has been to being the governor of Kaduna State. Today he is. Whether he's going to win the re-election, I do not know. But for me, I don't care about people like El-Rufai. I care about Atiku Abubakar. I care about him winning the presidency. I care about him impacting positively on the lives of people, including my mom in the village, my siblings, and those youths who have come out of school the last 3 years and there is no work.
Yeah.
I care about Atiku Abubakar for creating jobs, because he has done it and he knows how to do it. So that those 12 million people who have lost their jobs in the last 3 years, they get their job. I care about Atiku Abubakar, whose intention is to make sure the youths know and focus on their future. So that those who are being killed every day because of armed robbery, gangsterism, realize that they can do something and be meaningful to their families. I care about Atiku Abubakar, who has done it before, who is not going to learn from the job, who has already done it for 8 years.
Yes.
He is used to it. Asorok is not a big deal for Atiku Abubakar. He has been there. It's like coming home. So these are the reasons I consider. And a lot of people who are also thinking like me, and to say, let us now say, this man is old. Buhari's official year is 75. But we all know that he's way more than that. Yes. By the time in 2003, Buhari should be hitting 80. Why in Nigeria today, we should be allowing somebody who is 80 to be our president?
Beside our affairs.
Who is sick. And I mean, look, old age on its own is a diagnosis. I think he is fit. He can run, play squash, play polo. Why don't we have a president who can speak what we can understand?
Yeah, no.
I don't want a president who means corruption and my children will misinterpret it for something like that. The international community will misinterpret it for something like that.
And that Nigeria will be a laughing stock.
It is already. We're looking for somebody who will come to amend it.
We have two Nigerians who live here in Houston, and fortunately for them, their parties pick them up, especially they're from Imo State. One is running for the governorship of Imo State under People's Redemption Party, PRP, Dr. Nathaniel Oba, and the other one is going for Imo State House of Assembly from Ihitogo constituency, Bishop Emmanuel Okereke. How do you see their involvement in politics?
For me, it is very healthy and it is encouraging, because having lived here for a long time, they will bring to bear their experience and also see if they can come together to put some sense of sanity in our political landscape. Dr. Ba is my very good friend. Before he left Nigeria, he came to my house. We rubbed minds, and I wished him well. And Dr. Bishop from Ihituboma, a fine gentleman, all I wish them is good luck in their endeavors, but also having in mind that their genuine intention is to add value to the lives of our people.
Yes.
And with what they have seen in America, how they lived in America, I know it is their hope that they can do the little they can to transform our place, even if it doesn't look exactly to be something close to that.
Yes, we wish them well too, but why is it that Nigerians living abroad find it difficult to get involved in politicking in Nigeria? Why?
It depends on the level of politicking. Most of the people who are at the helm of affairs in Nigeria today studied and lived abroad. So it depends on the extent and the level. Bukola Saraki was born and brought up in England, and he's the Senate president today, and there are a lot of them like that.
Maybe because of his background.
Oh, well, that's another thing.
Yeah.
But we have a lot of people also who have who lived, in foreign lands, and they came back and be part of the politics. And but it's very healthy because
because at least we are here, we see how things are being done,
yes,
and we have been exposed to some level. So when we take those experiences back home and we tell them, look, this is not a do or die.
Yeah, it can be done like this.
It's not the winner wins all.
Let us not forget also that when Dr. Konji-Iweala came to the Ministry of Finance, she put a lot of directions. What this government is joined today in the name of TSA and BVN, we're a creation of yes. So it is good that people who have lived in decent and civilized environment like this goes back to participate, because they also bring to bear some experience and sanity too. But Nigeria is still a work in progress. We only started our democratic experience for the second time after the 1979 to 2003 was aborted, and we came back in 1999. This government did a lot of injury to our democratic life, because what we did not experience in 1999, we just experiencing that even all the parties across the party line, none of them can claim of having done very decent and encouraging primary. Even the party of the president. Yeah. Okay,
let's go back to Imo State and a PDP candidate, Honorable Meke Nyedio. He's from MBC. MBC is a big clan in Imo State. And there is this saying in some quarters that they are saying, oh, MBC, nobody should touch him, and this is the turn of MBC. Do you think this slogan is very heady in politics?
No, we try at every point to discourage people who say things like that. Imo belongs to every Imolite.
Yeah.
Emeka has been what and where in politics. Having been in the Federal House for 12 years, been the Chief Whip, been Deputy Speaker, and eventually Speaker. Because for that 1 month Tambowal was sworn in, yes, he was the Speaker.
Yes.
So when people refer him as former Deputy Speaker, they should put that he was also,
also one time. Yeah, after I moved to Ariz was one time president.
So I don't want people to think it is an MBC thing. I want them to think that it's an Imo State thing, yes, so that we can be able to
galvanize
and have that sense of belonging. Because if you're doing it, MBC thing and what is zone, then Olo will dominate it. Because Olo has 12 local government.
Yes.
So let us first do it is our thing, because if Mbise starts doing it, is Mbise, if you don't want Mbise to be touched, whose one do you want to be touched?
Yes.
So, but our politics in Imo State has gone beyond that. That does not mean that somebody cannot take pride in the sense that this is an indigenous of Mbise and say it, but it will go beyond that.
Okay. So, okay, I know you are speaking for PDP to some extent. What strategy do you think the PDP in Imo State could adopt to have an easy sell?
The strategy is to make sure that, just like the federal, and I will be more comfortable with talk about Atiku. However, I would suggest.
Okay. Let's take it from the up.
Yes, from
so
the up.
What are the PDP strategy to make sure that they clinch a victory?
The strategy is not just PDP. For all those lovers of good governance, for all those lovers of let's make Nigeria work again, we must have to make sure that any loophole for rigging is blocked. You know, the article.
But the incumbent president, they have the apparatus of power. They have the military, they have the police, they have the custom, they have the SSI. So how do we gonna checkmate that?
Well, the reason why they were able to do the things they did in Osun and Ekiti is because of an isolated election where they can deploy the entire police to one state. In the general election, where you have almost 28 to 30 states contesting for it, Nigeria doesn't have such resources to deploy the same number of police to individual states.
Each polling booth.
Yes. So, but beside that, getting Nigeria to have an election that is acceptable to some extent is good for Nigerian politics, for Nigerian democracy. A situation where, because it is the president only has 2 terms. If we are doing this thing, just like Senator Shehu Sani said, we don't have to do things because we love the president. We have to do things because it is the right thing to do. Doing good is emotional, but doing the right thing stands the test of time. So we want to encourage that people should make sure they oppose anything that is rigging. Let people go there and freely express, so that when you are given that mandate, you can be rest assured and work for the people. But when you buy your position, when you buy it,
You don't have that morality.
you don't want morality to do good because you want to pay back to where you got the money from.
Okay, Mr. Njoko, time is not on our side, but for the very last time, what do you appeal to Nigerians home and abroad during this election?
My appeal is, please, it is time we stop buying or selling our votes. It is time we look inward and give change a chance. The beauty of democracy, it afforded us the opportunity to always make amends every 4 years, if need be. So this time around, Nigerians have gone through the most excruciating period. And let us change. Let us try something else. If Atiku doesn't do well, in 2023, we do the same thing we did to him. We did it to Jonathan. We are going to do it with Buhari, even when Jonathan did more than Buhari, even when Jonathan did more things where Buhari comes from in northwest of Nigeria. So let us give Atiku a chance. If Atiku doesn't perform well, I will also lead another group against him.
Okay, please, we want to thank you, Mr. Don, for making our time to speak to us and highlight the activities of Atiku Support Group USA and to some extent the campaign.
Sorry, we have 3 o'clock at Holiday Inn on 59.
Oh, on 59.
Yes.
Okay.
Please let everybody come and join us.
Thank you so much. We are happy to have you here.
Thank you, Mr. Kizito. I appreciate it.
Viewers, here we draw the curtain for today's Point Blank. Don't forget, I have Mr. Don Njoko, the coordinator at Atiku Support Group USA. It has been very wonderful. Until next week, when we're going to have another interesting edition, this is your brother Kizito Osimnobi Ibe, thanking you for watching. Bye-bye.